Test 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning, everybody. This is Jaume speaking for La Cerdanya Valley. We are at the fourth day of La Cerdanya, Spain qualifying Grand Prix. And here we are, Brian Sprickley, Ian, Angel Casado, and me. We'll talk to you and explain you what is happening at the race. Today, it's a very different day from yesterday and from the other ones because the meteo has changed a lot. Okay, at this morning we were all asking if we pilots would really fly, and finally they are in the air. Okay, it's 5 minutes from the start time, and we can tell you that the sailings estimated are only 2,500 meters. So we'll be in an area where the airport is 1,000 meters above the sea. The surrounding mountains are from 2,002 to 300. It will be an interesting day and a hard day, not like yesterday, because the task has been set just some points around the airport. Okay. Anyway, apart from the thermals that will be no high, we have a very strong wind from the south, so there was wave expected, and here it is. We can see it from the office, and a couple of pilots have found it, and they are very above the star line limit height, which is 2,500 meters. Right now, we can see some pilots up to 3,000 meters. So we are happy that most of them are up and ready to fly. Okay. The only glider that we see right now has landed, had problems to achieve the first thermal, is 7 Alpha, Carlos Gonzalez with a 27. And today the star line has opened. It's not in the middle of the airport, but is a point called Jer in the mountains. So it could be easier for the pilots to start and go directly to the first thermal. Okay, so we will welcome Angel, Ian, and Brian. And Brian will give us their first impression about how today will be. Hello, Brian.
Good afternoon, everybody, from sunny Cerdanya. Cloudy morning, a lot of pessimism about flying, but with a south wind, sun's come out, and it's a remarkable microclimate here. And we have wave. We have wave off the Cadi Mountains, off the Sierra Cadi, and it's right down the valley. It should make this task really interesting. The race is 170 kilometers, which goes a little bit first to the east and then a long way to the west. And then they come back to the airfield before going to the west again. The very interesting problem for the pilots to solve today, because the wave is actually south of the task, but they will have to start, go to the first turning point in Puigcerdà, and from which they will only be about 2,300 meters. Then they will have to come back to find the wave again. If they then can find their way back into the wave and climb high up to 3,000 meters or more, the rest of the flight will be very easy. If they don't climb into the wave, the rest of the flight will be very difficult. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So what we're expecting to see is everybody descending down now. It's 30 seconds to go. They're lining up. Nearly everybody. There's just a couple of guys who haven't got the altitude. Everybody else is at maximum altitude. You can expect to see them going off on the first leg towards Puigcerdà, and you can expect to see them on the right-hand side of the track to stay in the wave area, and then they should be able to maintain some altitude. Now we can see everybody coming through the start. Everybody's coming through the start now. We see Hotels first to start, and Victor Lima second to start. Okay, and away they go. The red ring you see on the right is the turning point to Cerdanya. Charlie Tango looks like he was away first. He had a good altitude. That's Philippe Depeche. He's 2,500 meters. The speed limit for start is 170 kilometers an hour. And as we expected, they will be going to the right of track towards Puigcerdà because they try to stay in the wave lift. If you can imagine that the turning point in Puigcerdà is to the north of where the lift line will be, and we can see everybody is trying to stay out to the right-hand side. If we just see what Charlie Tango's vario is, and we can follow him in, and we can see that he's maintaining altitude and he's not really coming down, 0.3, 0.4 meters a second. In fact, he's climbing slowly. So he's climbing as he flies along in the wave, and he has to make a judgment now about turning down towards the turning point.
Yes, Brian, we can see that the gliders are making what you are talking about. They are going not to the point, but following the wave to the east. The Puigcerdà point is at the northeast of starting line. there are some, we can see 57 Charlie Tango, Hotel and Victor Lima who stopped. They have stopped, maybe have found a point where the wave is more powerful, and all the gliding pilots that were going to the east, it's possible that they have seen them and they all are going then. So it's possible that we see a thermal of a lot of pilots there. Okay.
And we already can see those guys who've got the line just right. The line just right is John Gatfield and Mike Young and Philippe Depesche, 2,600 meters already. They haven't yet turned since they started. They're just cruising. Hotel, Felix, he's decided he wants to get a little bit more altitude, but I don't think they need to. I think that they'll just be able to run into Puigcerdà. We watch them running in, and from Puigcerdà, they'll turn back and they'll come straight back to this point. And from this point, they should climb again in the wave.
They are climbing, actually. So the wave was a little north of where they were staying, and we can see that the top pilots with maximum altitude are climbing. Okay. The good thing is that when arriving to Puigcerdà Point, which is the eastern point, turning back, they will be able to take the wave, and it's a very good thing that there are conditions apart the thermals, because we were very worried about how they could be and which altitude would they have.
Okay, let's have a look at them coming into that first turning point now. The Vario you can see on Philippe Depesche is down now. They've left the wave. They're running quite fast, 170 kilometers an hour. This is ground speed. And they will come into the turning point. And at the turning point, we shall see them to quickly take into the turn and come straight back. 5-7's turning, Charlie Tango is turning, and now we have Yankee Oscar. So now, Jaume, we will see them coming straight back to the lift, I think.
Yes, for sure. It's very important to understand that the wave today we think will be a perfect. Most of the times is at the same point, so it's a predictable source of energy instead of thermals, which they are moved by the wind. They start, they finish. Meanwhile, the wave, if the wind that generates it keeps on, you will find it, even though not the cloud. It will be the ascendance there.
Yeah, already we can see a different tactic. Louis and Christophe decided to slow down in the wave and spend longer in the lift area, and they've climbed much higher. They've climbed to 2,900 meters. Whereas most of the others, Mike Young and John Gatfield, who are ahead, and Philippe Depesche, they decided not to do that, to make the fast run into the turn. And we can see now that it hasn't really paid off, but we'll see if they can see if they're caught, if Mike Delta and Echo Yankee can catch them. And they're coming back now to the south. Although the track line goes to the west, they're going to come back to the south to get back into the wave again. We can see Charlie Tango's Vario, he's not there yet, but we should see some spectacular flying. We should see, when they come back into the lift line, we should see the Vario coming up. He's 2.3, he's already on 2 meters a second. And I was just flying, and in this area we were getting 4 and 5 meters a second, and it was really, really good conditions. So I think we stick with Charlie Tango. We want to change now to the bigger picture so we can see what everybody's doing. And we can see them all coming into the wave area south of the airfield.
Yes, the only pilot that has made a different way, that keep on to the east, it's 70, Aldo Rodriguez. he's going up, but we don't understand why he's going so easterly. The only thing possible that will help him is the fact that at the east point he will have a very powerful tailwind, not powerful but tailwind, of course, and we will see what was his strategy. It will be very interesting today if we have some pilots with the GoPro or other cameras recording, because for sure they will have very fantastic images of 7 or 8 gliders going all together.
Yeah, and now the Yankee Oscar, which is John, I believe, and Philippe, they're now into the wave again, and they're going to go west along the valley. And it's good. It's spread out a little already. It's looking good. We can see that Mike Delta is still very high, and I think that Christophe is still very high. But when they're flying like this, they're going to be flying very fast as soon as I got the altitude back. So Charlie Tango is only flying 140 because he's climbing, and he wants to gain altitude whilst he's flying straight. So he's going to be flying at 150, 140 kilometers an hour. But when he gets to 3,500 meters, he's going to start pushing the speed up and up. When he does that, it'll be almost impossible to catch him.
Yes, it could be interesting to see if how the various of all the pilots are, if they are on the same route to the west, to see that going straight ahead they are climbing, and it's very particular. You have not to stop. Okay.
And we can see from the Vario readings now the sort of climb that they're getting. Louis is quite a lot higher, and he's getting 4 meters on the Vario, and he's flying straight in the wave. And Mike Young and John Gatfield are heading much further to the south. And as they head to the south, they're going to try and stay in the wave. If we switch the panel to 5.7 and we just see what's happening to him, we can see Philip is at 2,900, and he's decided he's going to go straight towards the turning point underneath the cloud. Where Mike's at 2,600, and he's actually going a little bit further to the south here. And we're now going to see some interesting action, because I'm not sure whether what Mike's and John Gadfield have done has really, really benefited them. They come a long way out to the south. They've done that because they think that's the lift line. And yet Philippe in Charlie Tango, he's climbed more, and he's done a little bit better on the line that he's taken. And he's gained nearly 500 meters on this line, which is very good. And he's closer to the turning point. We can see that they've got about 47 kilometers to run. And so it's not very far to the turning point. We'll have that view now, and we can have a much clearer idea now of where everybody is. Charlie Tango, Philippe, he's doing pretty well back there. He's at 3,000 meters. We'll just put the let's see if we can put the altitude on the label. We're just going to put the altitude on the labels. The screen seems to be a little bit confined today, and so we're going to take off the panel and put the altitudes against the against the gliders, and you'll see more clearly what they're doing. And as you can see, we won't be using close-up views when they're flying at these sort of altitudes, because there's no need for us to go down and look. It's much more interesting to see what the overall picture is.
Yes, we can see Charlie Tango has made a couple of circles. We don't think it's a thermal. It could be the best part of the wave. Charlie Tango is right now climbing up very fast. That's fantastic, but it's that's a decision they have to make: keep on a straight line, or where they find the most powerful point of the wave, stop their climbing. They climb a lot, but their GPS velocity or ground speed is very low or close to zero. So it's interesting to see if it gets worse.
Yeah, I wonder what's happening with going on in the cockpit, because you can see now that both Yankee Oscar and Mike are climbing quite well again. Charlie Tango has taken a couple of turns. He's gained 400 meters. That puts him in a good position, but he's still got to catch up. Echo Yankee's in the stratosphere. He's up at 3,700 meters. He's really cooking. The maximum altitude they're allowed to fly to is 4,000 meters. So they have to stay below 4,000 meters. And at the speeds that they're traveling in this sort of lift, we're going to see very, very fast tasks. We're going to see tasks, unless something happens to the weather, we're going to see the task in 200 kilometers an hour, 180 kilometers an hour, something like this. And we can see that the Christoph is already really zipping along there at 200 kilometers an hour. He doesn't really want to get much higher. Don't know what Mike's done. He's probably trying to climb a little bit to get some more altitude. He's not chosen the best line there, and he's thinking maybe I need to be a little bit higher to be sure that I get in. Now, we can really see the tactic from Mike Delta, Echo Yankee. Remember, before the first turn, they climbed right up, and they climbed up to more than 3,000 meters before they took the turn. This allowed them to come back into the wave at a higher altitude where it's stronger. The others, led by Yankee Oscar and Mike, John Gatfield and Mike, went into the turning point 400 meters lower, but earlier, and came back, and they didn't connect properly with the wave where it's at its strongest point. And that's cost them a lot of speed. The speed of now Louis, he's doing 260 kilometers an hour. These guys are really cooking now, and he's still climbing. So we should see very exciting race at this point, and let's try to imagine what they're going to do to take the turning point, because they have to leave the wave. They have to leave the wave and go back into the turning point, then come back to the wave. The altitude they're at, this shouldn't be a problem, should it?
Yes, it shouldn't be a problem. It's important to see what they are doing, because, for example, Reboot the League, who is at the top of the race right now, is also at the top of the whole Grand Prix. So he's not taking care of the other pilots to assure his position, but he's pushing. He's going straight to say, "Hey, I am the best. I am going to win. So I don't be looking at you." Meanwhile, Echo Yankee, that stopped there close to Puigcerdà, stopped climbing, is going very fast also, chasing him. Meanwhile, Yankee Oscar stopped to climb a little. They know that if they're going to close to Andorra Valley, maybe they don't have the thermals, the typical thermals in La Rabassa, nor Andorra Antenna, but they have to take the altitude here to jump the valley, go back, and go to the same place to catch again the wave. But the French team are doing very well. Philippe Depechy is a little back, but for sure we know Philippe is flying in a very regular way. He flies very well all the days, although he was almost making our landing 2 days ago. And meanwhile, the British team, Mike Young and John Gatfield, who are chasing in the general classification, they are there. Okay, Yankee Oscar stopped a little. He knows he has to gain altitude. Meanwhile, 5-7 is with with Felix Hotel, who again made an landing yesterday in Tremp, and he's knowing the zone. He's making a lot of tourism.
I just want to correct you there, Jeremy. It's not a team. These guys are all flying for themselves. Mike Young does fly sometimes for the British team, and all the French guys fly sometimes for the French team, but all of these guys are trying to beat each other. And the good thing about the Grand Prix is it's an individual competition. It's not a competition where people represent their nations, and anybody who can fly in it, who's qualified, and if they are able to win, then they can qualify for the Grand Prix final. We want to keep our eye now on what's happening out front. We got Mike Delta and Echo Yankee. We're very concerned now to watch what happens. To watch what happens as they go into the turn, and we can lock on to Echo Yankee, and maybe we follow him and Christoph into the turn. Yeah, and now we can see Christoph has slowed down. We've lost him, but he slowed down and he's flying. Maybe we should take. Oh, look at Sierra 5. Christoph's nearly 4,000 meters. He slowed down to get the maximum altitude. He's going to take the turning point very high and come very quickly back into the wave. These guys could make this task in under an hour. We can see.
Yes, we can see they are at the top of the maximum altitude allowed for the competition, and I really don't know which is the maximum speed, Brian, that they can fly with this powerful gliders. I used to fly club gliders, so I don't know where can they arrive. 3,300.
Well, yeah, what you're seeing is ground speed. And so ground speed will be affected by the wind and also the density altitude. So if we see ground speeds of over 300, it's fine. The gliders don't normally fly more than 280 in the air, but that doesn't mean to say that we won't see much higher ground speeds. At the moment, they've probably got a little tailwind, and that little tailwind is going to give them a big speed. And because of the altitude,
to the second point, Saint Jean de Lerme, in 8 kilometers, and when they arrive, they will have about 100 kilometers. One moment, we lose the signal for a moment. We're back again. So it will be important to see at which altitude they will arrive, if the top sailing of 4,000 meters will be enough. And the important thing is that, differently from yesterday, that where they had to be very close to the mountains, make rich flying, jumping from mountain to mountain to make the task. Today, it's not this way. We're very happy of this because we were worried about how high would be the thermals, but it's good to have this wave here, so the pilots will be faster and come back together. It's important because yesterday was a hard day with summer landings, so it's good.
Yeah, Lewis Speed, he's still doing 220, 230 kilometers an hour. He still is climbing. He's trying to stay below 4,000 meters, which is doing comfortably at the moment. He's probably going to lose the energy as he turns and he comes back, but he'll be straight back into this. And he'll be going back the other way now as fast as he can fly. It's really good to see Silverio there. He's at 3,200 meters. He's going very fast. He's heading into the turn point. He's had some tough flying in this competition, but he's doing all right today. He's having a good time. Charlie Tango, Philippe, he's not far behind, but that distance behind at these speeds is enormous. It's 5-6 kilometers behind. Now we can see Louis, he has a distance to run to the next turning point of 41 kilometers. So they will run back in the wave, the 41 kilometers to the turning point, and we can see the speed he's flying 200 kilometers an hour. It will only take him a few minutes to get there.
Yes, so we should add, Brian, you are a very experienced pilot. With these conditions and not stopping to turn to gain altitude, what do you think could be the highest medium speed of today?
Oh, I know. We're going to see almost certainly more than 160 kilometers an hour on the task. And that's because it's all going to be flown at altitude. The remarkable thing about this is that when they take the turning point at Cerdanya, they're on final glide. And they shouldn't need any more altitude. And we should be able to see the turning point, the final glide altitude calculation, and from that we should be able to see that they have enough altitude.
Yes, they are going to La Cerdanya airport. So they will have the waypoint just in the middle of the runway, and after that they are going to the fourth point, which is in La Rabassa. As you for sure are listening these days, La Rabassa, it's a very important mountain in the Andorra Valley, and usually it's a mountain where you rely on to gain altitude to jump the Andorra's Valley or to go into the La Cerdanya Valley to arrive to La Cerdanya airport. I think the waypoint was this today, so the pilots could have a place where we have a thermal for sure, but with this wave that most of the pilots are using, it will not be used.
So nearly everybody's coming into the turn at a good altitude. And we can see that we have very, very good race on our hands here. Sergei's just come in from outside, or he's gone out again. So we'll try to get Sergei in a moment to give us his view on how the race is progressing and on the conditions that we have out there.
Yes, today with these wave conditions, which are usual maybe 200 or more days at a year here in La Cerdanya, Sergi will tell us in a couple of minutes. Now he has gone to make something with the towing pilots, a little meeting. He knows very much how the wave performs in the valley, and he will talk us about this. Just 1 or 2 weeks ago, some pilots make more than 1,400 meters using the wave in the Pyrenees from the Atlantic to the Mediterranean. So it's very good that they have this thing to rely on.
Of course, the wave lift is very smooth. Somebody, Victor Lima, he looks like he's exceeded his altitude a little bit. The scorer might be giving some penalties tonight. Sergei, come and sit down and tell us what you think. Before Sergei talks to you, one of the things you'll notice is that they're coming back much lower than the guys who are still heading to the turning point. This is because they've flown much faster. They've flown much better in the stronger part of the wave, and they've pulled ahead. It'll be very difficult to catch.
Yeah, it's we have wave from south, and everybody's high. And he comes, let me see, maybe at 3,300 meters.
Okay, while Sergei catches up with everybody, I'll just give you a roundup here, Sergei. Tell you what's going on. Echo Yankee and Mike Delta went very fast to the turn, and they're climbing all the way. So they turned at 3,700 meters. They're now running very fast back towards Cerdanya, and you can see the Louis has only got 27 kilometers to run. Nearly everybody else are still running in the wave towards the turning point, and some of them are not running so fast. They didn't find such a good line in the wave and didn't get such energy. The ones behind are Charlie Tango and Yankee Oscar, Gatfield, and they are a little bit lower and slower and behind. I can't see 5-7 for the moment, but I think he's with them. What's remarkable is Echo Yankee and Mike Delta are really, really blitzing this. They're going very fast indeed. We've seen them flying at 280 kilometers an hour.
Okay. With South Wave, we have hits the Cadi Mountains, which is to the south of the the screen. He made the wave. The pilots that he take the really good line. He climbed all time, and he just it's speed, and to try to keep the altitude. But the wave it's like this: if you don't find the place to fund it, you go up and down, and it's not really easy. But it's in the same line. I think everybody's for the same line, a little more north south, and he trying to find a good place to climb or for to go to front.
Billy is doing his own thing. Billy's decided he doesn't like wave flying. He's going to go in the mountains, and I think he will find it difficult. What we can see outside and from the radar is that to the west of the task, we have a lot of cloud and some rain. And the frontal system is approaching the task area, but I don't think it'll affect us because now they're in the wave and they're high. Even when the shower is approaching, it should continue to work the wave.
Yeah, we have the Cadi Mountains that he stopped the showers, and if we are lucky, the pilots will be arrived to La Rabasa Point, and he come back. Billy, it's going he tried to go for the ridge to the north, but it's clearly that it's not the best option today because we have a really lenticularis that it's in all the valley. He crossed east to west. He showed the way we're going to take.
And when they come back to La Rabasa, they have only 40 kilometers to run to the finish line. And so they will need about 1,200 meters, maybe if they're flying very fast, 1,300 meters above the airfield. So 2,300 meters should be enough for them to come. From their altitude now, they can make Cerdanya and probably back to La Rabasa at that altitude. So it could be that they're nearly on glide. A little bit more maybe. We have the potential to show the altitude required. And if we can bring that up for you in a minute, we'll see quite what the situation is regarding if we can just show you this altitude required, we can see that Louis actually only needs another 300 meters.
Yeah, but we have wave today, and if he go, I think if he go directly to La Rabasa and he take the low part of the wave, he can find a really big sinks. Maybe it's best to take the same way that he flew now, and when he's more close to the Rabasa, he go there and come back. But I think we will have a really fast race today.
And Silverio is still there with them. He's still going okay, 2,900 meters. It sounds like a lot, but I think they're probably only just in the wave at 2,900.
Yes.
I think it looks like the optimum altitude for flying is more like 3,200, 3,400, which is why we've seen Mike Delta and Echo Yankee pushing on so well.
Yeah, the best thing is to stay high, but today we have a lot of stability. And I think the laminar area start at 2,000 500, something like this.
And Silverio, we can see, is doing 160 kilometers an hour, and he has 2.5 meter vario. That's really good.
Yeah, he is in the wave.
And when you look at the picture now, you can see the Caddy Mountain.
Yeah.
The wind is blowing from the bottom of the screen to the north. The air flows over the mountain and it bounces. And it's coming up right in the center of the valley, which is exactly the line that they're flying in. And this allows them to stay just in that narrow band of lift. There's really not any cloud marking this, just a tiny bit of cloud. And that makes it a little more interesting because you have to work out where the line is. We can see from the mountain, they're probably now in the strongest place.
Yeah, is the part that the Caddy is more high, and it's there we have the more strong wave ratio. We will see what happened with Berlique and Christophe Rouge if he take the same way or he go more to the north.
Well, I think they'll come the same way back.
Yeah.
Even if they have final glide from here, even if they have the final glide from here, then we shall see that they probably want to run in the wave a little. They won't want to risk flying in the sinking air behind the wave.
Because in wave, if you take the sinking wave, the sink, it's a really strong sink.
Yeah, everything that they've gained, they can lose in moments.
Yeah.
Because if the air is going up at 4 meters a second, the glider normally sinks at 1 meter a second. So they're going up at 3 meters a second. But if they fly in the sinking air, which is going down at 4 meters a second, and the glider is sinking, they're going down at 5 meters a second. So you very quickly lose much more than you gain. We're just watching Echo Yankee and Mike Delta turn now.
Yeah. Well, he hit the altitude. He lose not too much, maybe 200 meters. But I think they don't want to go more high.
Just entering the zone now. Very high. We'll put the final glide calculator back on. We'll put the final glide calculator back on and see what they need.
Christophe Rouge have average speed at 192. It's amazing.
But we could see them make the flight in less than 1 hour.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Okay. We'll leave the final glide calculator back on because you can see when everybody comes onto final glide.
Yeah.
And Louis is now over glide. Christophe is over glide. Of course, this calculation is made with assuming a glide angle of 1 in 30. If they're flying very fast, they will have a steeper glide angle and need a little bit more altitude than this. There's no doubt now who is in the lead. It's Echo Yankee and Mike Delta. The question is which one's going to come home first.
Yeah.
There's no question now of them being caught. There's no chance to be caught. And we will be interested to watch the battle between between Louis and Christophe Rouge. I'm sure that Christophe wants to win the day, but he has slightly lower. Look, he's just nearly 100 meters lower. They're coming up to maximum altitude. They have now 500 meters over glide. We see Vario 6 meters, 5 meters at 200 kilometers an hour. None of these guys thought this morning we would fly.
Yeah.
They all thought that it was for them a rest day.
Yes.
And that we wouldn't be flying. And now they're 3,700 meters, 200 kilometers an hour, and 500 meters over glide.
Yeah.
So they're having fun.
Yeah, this is the valley. We have a big valley, and if we have some winds, sometimes in the other part it's raining, and we have some wave, and we can fly it.
And we have everybody now coming into, well, not everybody, 1 or 2 pilots who didn't really understand what was happening. Bravo 2, he's come back to the airfield. He's not familiar with these sort of conditions. And Billy, looks like he's finally got into the wave and he's climbing up. So he will still be able to fly the task and he can still have some fun, but he's way out of the game now.
Yeah, it's the same. Jeff really knows, and he loves to fly in wave. He spent a lot of hours flying wave here. And we have Cerdanya now. the 3,300 meters.
Yeah.
It's with John Gatfield, and everybody make a really nice speed rush.
If we just look at the task now, if we look at the task they've got to fly, then we can see where they've still got to go. They have to go to La Rabassa. They have to go to La Rabassa, and then they have to go to Prix. So you can see that we can look at the whole task there. We can look at the whole task there. I don't think the final glide information is very interesting anymore because they have a lot more than they need.
Yeah.
And we can see that they will fly along the wave, turn to the north, into the turn, and then very fast to Prix
It's
and
going to
home.
be a really fast day today.
And we shall watch very, very quick finishes this
Yeah.
afternoon. So we want to go back down now and watch what happens in the third. In fact, the race is no longer so interesting because it's won. The race is won by Mike Delta and Echo Yankee. The question is which one? It's not quite over for them.
But it's the same altitude and it's really close. We'll see what happens. When he starts to be a little more low, will be more turbulence in the air, and we will see what happens. Because it's not easy to go really fast with turbulence.
Thanks. What's happening now? Echo Yankee, he's pushed ahead. He not only a few moments ago he was behind.
Ah, yeah?
He was behind and he was lower. So how has he managed to catch up?
It's telling because Buderlik, it's a really nice pilot. But it's like you said a few minutes ago, we don't have clouds, and it's easy to lose the good lift. And if you take a big sink, you lose altitude, and you need to go a little more low.
You don't think this is like Formula One team, where one of the drivers has been told to let the other drive go ahead?
Yeah.
So that he wins, yeah? They wouldn't do that, would they? They wouldn't. It wouldn't be a situation where Louis has decided to let Christoph win to get the points. He wouldn't do that.
No, I don't believe.
No. Okay.
Christoph Rouge he goes directly to the point, and he starts to go down. And he loses his reception.
He's flying 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, but he's go down 3 meters per second, and Buderlik, he's still in the wave, and he wait a little more to go to the Rabassa point. We will see what is the best option.
And if we now look at what's happening behind, we'll come back to these guys when they've turned for the final. We want to look now and see what's happening behind, because the position in third and fourth is very close in the overall. We have only 1 point between Christoph and Philippe and Mike Young. So if we just maybe we lock on to 5-7, and we can see, oh, it's very close, because 5-7 and Charlie Tango are a little bit different in altitude, and Charlie Tango's got more altitude, but 5-7 is ahead.
But it's 400 meters more.
He's bring it out a little bit so we can see, and now we can see where they are. So there's a little bit of difference. If we put the distance up, Angel, we'll see what the difference in distance is for them to run. And Mike Young has got that's the goal arrival height. We can see Philip has got a little bit more than Mike. He's got 100 meters more to spare. We can see that Louis and Christoph have got a lot more than they need. But what we'd like to see is the distance to run. And if we've got the distance to run for these guys, that would be really useful. Yes. Yeah. So let's have a look at that. Mike Young, 56 kilometers. Philippe, 60 kilometers. It's 4 kilometers difference, but Philippe has got 100 meters more, 300 meters more than Mike. That's going to make quite an interesting finish. A lot depends on how they run into the turn. Jeremy, what do you think to the race so far?
Well, it has been a good surprise. Pilots enjoying it, and it's being a regatta race. All very close, one glider to each other, and taking care of their competitors. And well, we will say it's very interesting that the task will just have will be only less than 2 hours. They are running a lot, and they are making the 5th point, and the next point is the arrival. Well, not. The next point is Puigcerdà, which is the last point just to go directly to the runway, 7 kilometers. So we will see.
Yeah, and let's have a look again. Sorry, not the variable. We'll look at the height. We want to look at the final glide calculator again. And when we see the final glide calculator coming up, that's good. We just want to look at this and see that Louis is using up this height with speed, and they're really going very fast now. If we come back onto Echo Yankee, and we see what speed he's doing, and we'll find that he's actually 200 kilometers an hour. That's really going. He's 4 meters down. And they're running now for the last point in Prix. They've got 27 kilometers to go. Louis got 29 kilometers to go. So it puts Christophe just a little bit ahead at the moment. They don't care anymore about lift. They're going as fast as they can.
Yes, for sure. They are. Right now we can see most of the pilots are in the sinking part of the wave. They have enough altitude to make the point to Puigcerdà and to the runway. And they just keep pushing and taking care of what is the arrival height, okay?
Louis still got 200 meters, but the rate that they're coming down is exactly what you'd expect. I wonder if they have not quite calculated this correctly. I wonder if they have not allowed for the sinking air. They're actually coming right out in the valley now to get back into the better air mass, to where the lift is, to run along in the line of lift. So we'll leave it on Louis. Should see him slow down in a moment, and we should see him turn more to the left and slow down and maybe get a better run of energy and not lose height so quickly.
Yeah, he got to take again the wave. That's it's the most safe thing. And when you fly in wave, if you fly it out of the wave, you have a really big sinks, and they want to arrive with a safe position. And he can run again. He can run, and it's not a problem for him.
So the distance left on the course 30 kilometers. It's not so far.
No, he arrived in Puigcerdà, but now the ratio it's minus 0.5, 0.4. He can go really fast.
And yeah, and we don't seem to be locked on to Christophe Rouche, and we're leaving him. So if you can put his lockers on to Philippe Dupechet, and let's see what's happening at the back between him and Mike. This is another critical part of the race. Looks like we've lost Mike for a moment, but we should get it back, and we will be able to see what's happening here. I think that Mike is gone. Yes, we've lost Mike for the minute, but we think he's already turned. We think he's turned just in front of Philippe. What's interesting for us to watch is they're turning lower than Mike Delta, and they're turning lower than Louis and Christophe.
Yeah.
If they're turning lower and Louis and Christophe had a hard time, not a hard time, but they didn't get back into the wave so high, maybe these guys are just going to be a little bit too low. So we'll watch what happens now
But
and make sure that they...
But it's Michael Young. He always fly lower than the others. And he's a good pilot.
Yeah.
But it's in wave, he needs to be in the wave. Because Philippe Depechy now is in the point, the 3,100 meters. And I think that all the pilots will go to take the wave again, put Cerdanya, and come back home.
So we'll look at the bigger picture now. Let's see what's happening to everybody. And see if Mike Delta and Echo Yankee are running along the valley. They have a good altitude. And they are home. They're comfortable.
Sure. No, they are in really good position.
If we just lock on to Mike Delta
What is
and
the speed
see
level?
his height, we've got 26 kilometers left to run. His average speed so far is 190 kilometers an hour.
Amazing.
And he is able to just race for trying to catch Echo Yankee. We can see Echo Yankee is ahead, and he's higher.
Yeah.
The day is one for Louis. The day is one for Christophe.
For Christophe?
Yeah, it's one for him. Hockey's still going the other way.
Yeah.
He will wonder what's been happening to his day. If we just lock on a moment to Hockey, and we'll see what his average speed is, 146 kilometers an hour. Yeah?
That's not bad.
That's not bad, but he'll be surprised to find he's 40 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, this is a little frustrating. When you arrive at home, it's, oh, I made 150 kilometers per hour average, and the other one 200, something like this.
But of course, we must remember,
yeah,
this is probably the only time ever in these guys' lives they'll fly a test like this.
Yeah.
They'll fly a race like this. Short race, in the wave, lined up.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often.
No.
It may happen in New Zealand one day, but it doesn't happen very often. Can we just come out? Can we just... No, you need to come out so we can see where everybody is now, please, Angel. Yeah, that's better. And where are we? Echo Yankee's running in. Where's Mike? He's not far behind, but look, he's only 2,100 meters.
And Charlie Tango?
Charlie Tango is 2.6. He's got the height. Can we put the distance to run up? And we look at the distance to run. And with the distance to run, we get an idea of what there is between them. And that will help us understand which one's likely to come home first. Yeah, and that will...
Cristo Rouge, 16 kilometers. And
Louis is 20, so he's 4 kilometers ahead at the moment.
And Michael Young, why is that?
But it's because Michael Young probably didn't get turned at the last turning point.
Oh.
So he needs to have his distance reset to check that. And you just get rid of this for us, please, Angel. And that's good. And whilst you put Michael Young's distance right, we'll just have a look at what's happening with Echo Yankee. He's not got far to run now. The distance left of Louis is 18 kilometers. That's not very far. It's only 7 kilometers from Prix. I think you ought to be going to the wrong way.
Yes, I know that. Sorry.
So the speed these guys are going at, Serge, they're going to be home very soon.
Yeah, okay. See you later.
And we'll be landing 07?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's not too much wind in the runway.
Okay. Well, and it's not raining, which is good. So we're very, very happy now to see them on final glide. Germain, where's Germain? Where's he going? And Germain is going to talk us through the finish here for all these guys and talk us through the order where they're coming home. We can see that Christophe is slowing down a little, 150 kilometers an hour.
Okay, so Echo Yankees at the top, followed by Hotel Quebec, IMAC Delta.
Okay, well. So now when Jean-Mic's got his breath back, he's going to talk you through the finish. We're going to hear some really interesting stories tonight, do you think, Jean-Mi? These guys are going to be absolutely happy. They're going to say, why didn't we make the task twice as long?
Yes, maybe after the race and after knowing there will be such a good wave, the people who made the task will think, oof, because most of the time, most of the pilots were thinking they were not going to fly. We got some WhatsApps, mails saying, so we don't rig, because the briefing was changed to 12, and we said, no, you rig, because if at 12 conditions are good, you will have everything ready to fly. So we were terrified that they say, hey, you made us fly a task with such a difficult weather, but now maybe they say, hey, you should have put a longer task to take profit of these fantastic conditions. So we can see Echo Yankee, which is 1,040 meters per second, 260 kilometers per hour in arriving. Okay, he's passing the fantastic Gulf to the north. It's just 1 kilometer left. He's going to arrive now. Okay, you can see the point and the arrival of Puigcerdà, of La Cerdanya, and he has already finished. He's the winner, and in the general, he was third, 16 points with Philippe Depechet. 2 and 3 got the same points, so he will take some advantage over Philippe. Okay, Luis meanwhile is doing very well, arriving to Puigcerdà. Okay, Christoph Brooks has won. Mike Delta is going the second point. He's really high. So he will be make a fantastic final gliding, 1,800 meters. And meanwhile, Echo X-Ray keeps on. He's doing his way. He still has to go to La Rebasa, and Echo Yankee is going to land. So it has been a interesting fast race. It's here in Spain. It's a 4:15. They still have some lunch, and we will see what the other guys have been doing. Okay, Mike Delta is final light, 1,600 meters. Interesting, because we thought it would be a closer arrival. And but it hasn't been. This is curious, because maybe just 20 minutes before there were 3 gliders going together, and it's curious because in such a smaller tax, the difference should not be as big as there seem to be today. So it's curious. It would be interesting to talk with them and analyze which part of the wave they got, when they decided to leave it, when they decided to go on and not turn, going straight to the point. Okay. So my delta is just 2 kilometers for arrival. Now we can see, because the pilots are far one from each other, we can see which is the distance to arrive. So Christopher has made it, Luis Bordeluc also. My Young is just 1 + 4, 7 kilometers within to arrive to Puigcerdà. And meanwhile, Silverio de la Rosa is doing a very consistent race. It's almost 2,000 meters. And Jorge Arias, 15 kilometers behind. And apart from it, Felix Hutel and Aldo are flying together, it seems to. And Gorka with Bravo 2 is the pilot who is far from the finish line, 156 kilometers. Charlie Tango is very, very good. The signal has turned again. 57 has a stop. I don't know if he has to climb, it seems to. 1,300 meters. We don't know what he's doing. So we don't know what Mike is trying to do. Maybe he didn't have the. Maybe he didn't have height enough to make the point at Puigcerdà and going back to La Cerdanya, so he prefers to come back. Charlie Tango, who is second at the general, at the overall, is turning the point, Puigcerdà. So he's just got 7 kilometers left to the airport, okay? And then to take a general vision of today's race, has been easier, but very easier race for the pilots, for most of the pilots. Okay, for sure there are pilots who had difficulties to take the wave. That everything, I know the forecast predicted. This morning there was only a little chance, maybe 20% to fly. So we are very happy here to have another gliding date in La Cerdanya. We already had half wave, and for sure the pilots have enjoyed us. It will be interesting this afternoon preparing the highlights. We prayed some gliding pilots have recorded their flights and their cameras, and we try to make you feel as good as we can the sensations, the feelings, and the magnificent views that for sure they have at their flights. It was interesting this morning to see maybe the French pilots who fly at the north of the Pyrenees. We saw a couple of pilots at 5,000 and 6,000 meters high. So we were very happy that maybe there is wind. We didn't know. Here in the valley there was no wind, but at altitude there was wind. So we will see. Meanwhile, we can see the view from the cockpit of Silverio de la Rosa. On the left hand, you can see Charlie Tango, Felipe de Pesci, all arriving just 800 meters from one to another, or 1 kilometer one from another. Felipe de Pesci is going to the finish minimum altitude, 1,170 meters. Here you can see, and the red line is the finish line. Okay. So we can take a generated computer view of the magnificent airport La Cerdanya. And now is Silverio de la Rosa arriving. And with these 4 or 5 first gliding pilots that have made the task, we say goodbye to everybody. Thank you very much for being here. It has been less time than we thought. So we wait for you tomorrow or 2 days to see what this fantastic championship gives us. So goodbye, Angel, and thank you for everything.
Thank you, folks. Counting that you will coming back tomorrow for an interesting race.
Okay, goodbye. See you tomorrow.